All right, guys, I'm going to mute you here really quick. We're going to have plenty of time for question and answer at the end, but I'll mute Mike since he's driving, so I don't want to screw him up. So thanks for coming to our webinar tonight, guys. We should have done a pretty good job of telling you what's going to happen, but we do a quick webinar, just kind of wrap some things up. So what we're going to cover today is Altitude is 1 year old, right? You guys have been here for an entire year, which is really hard to believe for us. I don't know if it's hard to believe for you guys, but we're going to go over what we learned so far. And that's really a reflection of what you guys have learned. So celebrating that. So we've talked to a lot of you and kind of gotten some feedback on what you've learned. It's really helped us out, but really we have learned a ton too. So in building this program, you know, a long time ago, the founders of NLPT got together and we just did a mastermind, and we started to kind of look at how we could help each other out and grow our practices. And it was really exciting. Like in the beginning, our practices were really small, kind of similar to where a lot of the people that are in Altitude are. And in a very short period of time, we saw crazy stuff, like doubling the size of practices in like 12 to 18 months and kind of figuring stuff out. What we found is everybody was kind of a specialist in something. Like somebody was really good at lead gen, and somebody was good at finance, and someone was good at like core values and setting a mission. And we just kind of put that all together. It was really powerful. And so we worked on our own practices and saw some big results. We said, you know, it's not really fair if we keep this to ourselves. How can we help out other practice owners? And I know that might kind of seem self-serving, but I'll tell you, we get more excitement out of wins that you guys have in your practices than when we get wins in our own practices. So we've put the systems in place, and we're kind of a little bit ahead of you guys in some respects. So we've kind of gone through where you guys are right now. And we're trying to learn how to best take this information that, again, we're a little biased, but we think it works pretty good. We've proven that it works in our own practices, but we have to prove that it works in other practices for it to be really successful. So that's kind of where Altitude came from. And as you've seen, as you've gone through the program, we've made some adjustments on the fly, but now we're kind of taking all that information and saying, okay, what worked, what didn't work? And you guys helped us out a ton with that. What we see a ton of is we really need to streamline practices. And that's kind of like a buzzword, but we're looking at a thing called automation. So if you could multiply yourself, or if you could create more time in the day, those are things that you guys would want to do. And you can do that in a way in terms of how we're going to use automation. And Frank's going to come on and teach us a little bit, show you like a little chunk of automation and how he uses it in human resources and in his practice. And we're going to show you how you can use that in other places in your practice. And if you've ever kind of thought, you know, I always say I don't know a lot, but I'll tell you one piece of advice that always works. If you want to be somewhere at some level, number of clinics or number of visits or number of evaluations, however you want to measure that, if you're not hanging out with people that are already there, it's going to be really hard to get there. And, you know, Arlen has said a lot of things to me in the last 4 years that have really made an impact. But one of the things that he said that was most impactful, we were down in Orlando and we were doing some coaching, and I heard him talking to somebody, and he said, if you want to be a $10 million CEO, so that's where I want to get to. Like right now, I'm a $3 million CEO. So there's a certain skill set that I have to get there. But if you're ever going to be a $10 million CEO, you've got to have that skill set before you get there, or else you'll never get there, if that makes any sense. You got to hang out with people that are doing things that where you want to get to. So we're trying to teach that to you guys tonight. A vision of the future. So we just kind of show you like, what are the next steps? Like, hey, 12 months, we've gone through the modules. We added kind of an extra one on there, but kind of show you guys what is going to happen next, and I get you excited about that. So here's some things that we did right. So we keep hearing some good feedback from you guys, which is great. So interviews we did, we love the community, accountability. Like these are words that keep coming up. These are actual quotes from when we were talking to you guys and taking notes. This is what we wrote down. The calls were super important. Special speakers coming in and helping out, teaching you guys stuff. Knowledge of the founders, obviously that's important. You highlighted what I needed to learn, and you'll hear this again over and over. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. Arlen's been doing this for a long time. Frank has been doing this for a long time. And man, the first 10 years, I just didn't know what I didn't know. It wasn't for lack of effort, right? No one here is lazy. Like no one here is putting in like 20 hours and then going golfing on Friday. It's like besides Arlen, but in the beginning, you're just doing everything, right? It's not for lack of effort. And you end up having a really highly paid job, right? You didn't get in this to have a job. You get it to run a practice, and few people get to that, which is crazy. So it's really important that we try to figure that out. And if you know what to work on and you work on that, that's exciting. So that's really important. So helping out with that. What else do we say here? We helped you as an owner become more organized. So that's a lot of stuff, right? Finally working on the business instead of in it. You'll hear that term a ton. You'll get a step-by-step process. That was kind of what we wanted to try to do, is just kind of get a process where you're getting like check off lists and that kind of stuff, to make sure that you're implementing what you need to do. Understanding the pieces of a more successful practice. You're more aware. So we heard that word a lot, which is really important. Like, I'm starting to see, oh yeah, this number, when this happens, here's the actions that I need to take. And that's been helpful. Having a game plan. So just getting a plan together and strategy. So Arlen is obviously a big part of that. We helped your business we helped it grow, right? We helped get better organized, more prepared, and we're able to handle patient load after unlocking some stuff. So just getting back to normal. I know I'm hearing from a lot of you guys is, yeah, as we're kind of returning out of the pandemic, we're starting to see our numbers rise. And now we've learned the stuff that helped me get prepared for that. So I can take advantage of that instead of, I don't know about you guys, but when I would see a huge spike in new patients, I'd be like, great, this is awesome. And then I would see these like huge dips because I would get the new patients in, and then I'd have to do the therapist stuff and the management stuff of helping other therapists manage that. And then I would drop off on the marketing, and then it would drop. And then I just kind of keep doing this roller coaster. When if you put systems in place, then that really helps. Running metrics and KPIs. So we talked a ton about that, just making decisions based on numbers. You guys all have science degrees, right? But for some reason, when I started my practice, I didn't really use science that much. It was more my gut feeling and trying to make some decisions. Sometimes I was right, but a lot of times I wasn't. It wasn't until these guys taught me the importance of metrics and KPIs that it really started to click for me. All right. So here is some of the stuff that we talked about, where we could have used some help or some improvement, right? So let's go back up here. So more structure to follow. We tried, and it's really hard to build a program for every size and situation of practice. We tried to do it, but in certain things, some people wanted some more structure to follow. Some people wanted different timing and pacing. So on my call with Chris, he's like, yeah, some of this stuff I nailed down, and then I got busy. Like we saw a bunch of new patients come in, or I had a PT that went on vacation, or somebody like stopped showing up to work, and then I had to kind of do everything, and I lost track of it. I wasn't able to do the calls. So that's kind of the struggle, right? Of a practice that is kind of, where you guys are at. You are doing a lot of the stuff. So a lot of the stuff is on your shoulders, and it's really hard to build out a business or a practice when you're cranking out all those visits that you're doing. We all did it, right? So that's something that we've done. And I think one of the big things that we want to try to impart on you is you can do it that way. Like if you'd never met us, you're going to continue to help people and do physical therapy. But man, on the other side of figuring out the business stuff and figuring out how to remove yourself from treatment, man, it's just, life is way better over there. I'm telling you. And a lot of you guys have kids. And one of my coaching students has like 2 little kids, and I'm just trying my hardest to get him out of treating 50 hours a week, because he's just going to miss a ton. I didn't. I missed a lot of my kids' lives. I got 4 kids. My oldest now is 16, but it's really only the last couple of years, like 3 to 5 years, where I've kind of removed myself from treatment, where I can slow down and kind of see what's happening. So more flexibility in order of topics. So we heard this one a lot, right? So I think even Chris said, hey man, I really love this stuff, but there was like a time where I really needed like finance, or I really needed like HR, and that wasn't like for further down the line. So that is one of the issues that goes on when you order those topics, but we tried to order them in the order that you would kind of need them and kind of learn as you go type things. But, it's not perfect for everybody. More frequent updates. So just kind of changing some of the stuff in the program is something that we heard. Accountability check-ins. So like getting hey, if you guys had like, gotten on individual one-on-one calls with us, like on a certain period of time, I think that would have been helpful. So that was good feedback. And then specific concerns is just like, hey man, can you help me with marketing? Can I just get some more new patients in here? And I know we kind of preach on that is new patients, they're not useless, right? So they will kind of force you to learn quickly. That's the best value for me. So when I talk to somebody, I said, if I put, you get 12 new patients a week. If 24 new patients showed up for the next 3 weeks, what would happen in your practice? And most people's response is, well, it would kind of explode, right? Because I've got like this capacity and I've learned enough. I'm like a 12 visit or 12 initial evaluation per week practice. Once I go to 24, I don't know if I have the systems to do that. So, but we're going to talk today about some marketing stuff because you guys have been interested in that. All right. So who looked at the bonus training that we threw in? All right, Karina, because Karina looks at everything and she does everything. She's amazing. So I'm going to hand it over to Frank now, and he's going to go over and start talking about this automation stuff. So if you haven't heard us use that term, then automation is just using technology. Then doesn't necessarily need like a complicated software or really hard stuff to learn. It's just using some kind of software as a force multiplier. So Frank's going to show you how he runs his HR department. And there's not 10 people that work in it, right? So he's going to use software to show you guys how to do that. So go ahead, Frank, and just kind of tell us what's going on, like where you're at right now. Oh, Frank, you muted, bud.
Hey guys, so what's up? Thanks for showing up here for this, and yeah, I just kind of want to share with you a little bit about how automation has really helped ourselves. One, remove ourselves from treatment. Two, concentrate on the bigger things that kind of bring in more revenue, and three, just kind of simplified our process and help us really grow our practice faster. So prior to us doing this, we spent a lot of time, going through, resumes, calling people, trying to set up people for interviews, just strategizing the whole process itself would take us a long time because we're so stuck in treatment and we weren't actually focusing on how we could, make that system better and work on its own. So, prior to this process, we're spending months, maybe years, trying to really hire people because we just waste so much time. And it wasn't really until we implemented this system that we really started to grow as a practice in terms of adding more providers, getting texts whenever we needed to, on a regular, the turnover at our front desk, anytime we, lose somebody, we didn't feel stressed or pressured to have to hire or because we knew we had a system in place that could automatically generate qualified leads and it wasn't going to take up any of our time. So I kind of want to show you some of that and kind of help you understand how automation can really help us cut time and make us actually more money. So here, what I have here is a simple Indeed ad, and this is something that we just ran yesterday, and already, there's 14 candidates that have looked at it, but I'm going to show you, the simple little trick that we put in here, and it's a copy and paste instruction to a landing page that's going to trigger off a sequence for hiring. And in that sequence, they have to go through a process of elimination and weed out steps to see who's going to make it to the interview. And so right now, as of yesterday, not even within 24 hours, we already have 14 candidates, but once they, copy and paste, it goes to something like this, which is a landing page, on lead pages or something like that you create. It looks like a video, but they can't really click the video. They have to actually input their information. And this is, if any of you have done any type of lead generation or anything like that, it's just a lead form that gathers the information and it triggers off an action within the system, in this case, Infusionsoft for Keep. And so once they put in their information, it triggers off, their first email. And just to give you an idea, this is within the past, since January of 2020 to now, only 33 actual candidates have made it through the whole process of getting the email link, but only 4 have actually gotten to an actual interview. And that's from all our campaigns that we have done. But if I do it in the last 24 hours, which is this current campaign that we're running, out of the 14 candidates that actually applied on Indeed, only 2 actually followed the instructions and actually got into our funnel and to us are actually qualified leads. So how much time did that save me? A lot. How much is that going to be, cut down in the interview process? A lot. And this is only one day going through it, right? So what triggers these processes? There's a lot of things. We can go in and get really complicated and show you, but they have to follow the steps. And I can kind of show you a little bit of what it looks like for those of you that haven't seen it. But for us, if they opt in to get the invite for this process, they get this one email, and this email is basically a video that they have to watch. Now, a lot of people will get to this step, as you saw in my sequence. There's more people in this step than at the very bottom, because a lot of people get to the step, but they don't follow the instructions. They may watch some of the video, they may not watch it at all. But the only way people can go to the next step is if they watch the whole video, because the software itself has a triggering system that we have set up on the back end that says, hey, if they don't watch the whole video, they can't go to the next step. So again, you're weeding out people. You know, are people taking the time to watch the video? Are they engaged in your video? Does the video connect with them? And do they want to move on to the next step? And so that's important. So when they click and watch the whole video, then it kind of moves them on to the next step, and so on and so forth. So, you know, again, automation is key in not only hiring, but, you know, in a lot of things in our company. I'm just showing you a small step of what it did for me in terms of hiring, because we've gone from, you know, 3 therapists in 2019 pre-COVID and got through COVID to now, and now we're at 9 therapists, right? So not to mention the change of staff. So I wouldn't have been able to do that without this. Before this system in place, you know, we never grew that fast. And as a result, we were stagnant and we plateaued, and we didn't make that much more money, or weren't able to impact that many more people. But because of this, we're able to staff, you know, rapidly. We're able to, you know, free up a lot of time for us to work on other things that bring in more money, or higher value tasks for us as owners. And at the end of the day, you know, it eliminates a lot of hassle work from a lot of people in your organization, and it doesn't have to have a big team. So again, you know, automation is key in our practice, and we use it a lot in a lot of different ways. And we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, other ways that we can use it. But I just wanted to show one quick human resource way that we use it, and it really helps us. So.
Yeah, and we have a similar thing set up in our offices, a little bit different. But what's nice about it is it's like a dashboard that just comes up. So when I need new PTs, I just go into my system. It's like, all right, what are the PTs that applied, and who have we, you know, kind of taken through steps? And it takes, you know, I don't know if you have the numbers in front of you, Frank, but especially for admin, for us, like the percentage of people that apply but actually get through the funnel is like tiny. And in the beginning, I was like, man, I'm kind of disappointed. Like, could we dial that back a little bit? And so we went back and kind of tweaked it and made it easier to get through. And wow, that was a huge mistake, because there's just a huge waste of time. So,
yeah, I'm gonna pull up one of my last Indeed ads for receptionists, and I think that's one of the ones that has our highest opt-ins. It's like 70 some candidates, and again, in that time frame, I think only 5 went through the actual funnel. But you know, these are some of my old jobs, and again, if you make it easier to get in through here, yeah, you're going to run into that issue. But here it is, front office reception, 76 applicants, you know, and so a lot of people will apply through here, but you got to give them specific steps so you can weed them out. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in reviewing resumes, making phone calls, trying to set up interviews, and you know, if you want to grow and replace people quick, you don't have that much time to waste, because any of that, the more time you waste, the more money you lose.
yeah, and it's crazy when you put these systems in, like things start to happen. So when Frank put this in, he didn't need to hire 6 therapists, but you put the system in, and then like weird stuff happens. Like all of a sudden you need it. Like we had this in like this year, in the last 3 months. We have an aide position. It might be a PT tech in your office, that is typically a 4-year grad trying to get into PT school. We sent 6 of them to PT school, and they all left inside of 2 months, because that's just how the schedule goes. So we had to replace 6. I think we were interviewing and we're hiring. We have a final interview on Friday to figure out out of the last 2 to do that. But man, I just couldn't imagine going through all those resumes the old way that we used to do it. Oh yeah, email it to me, and then I have to get home at night and like, oh, I'll just read through my emails and try to get it. And when you put automated systems in place, it's just so much faster. And you wonder how, like, okay, like I have 5 locations, right? Like, how the hell does someone have 50 locations, 150 locations? How is that even possible? What is the CEO of that company doing? They're typically doing a ton of automation, and they're using technology to help them out with that.
Yeah, like our plan for this technician hire is 2 weeks. So that's our deadline. That's what we've seen happen in the past. It's been successful. So that's what we're shooting for with this new hire. So, you know, from creating the ad, turning it on, to actually hiring and giving them an offer and giving them a start date, 2 weeks max now.
Yeah. And sometimes that's what you need, right? Like sometimes people say, I'm giving my 2 weeks notice. Like, I'm out of here. I'm moving to Colorado. And you're
That's
like,
exactly.
what? So if you don't have something like this in place, then you end up losing a lot of sleep at night. But automation is really important with that. So, and what Frank talked about is just time, right? So when your time is so valuable, and you guys are so undervaluing your time. Like you'll do like 10 or 20 or $30 an hour work, like that kind of work, like going through those things. And the hiring stuff, yeah, I'm still very much involved in the hiring because when you get the right person in the right place, then you are, like your life just gets a ton easier. So that is really important. But there are some administrative type stuff that maybe you shouldn't be spending your time on. So, in terms of that, there's even more opportunities for streamlining through automation. So, we talked about how we're going to show you a couple different ways that we can do this, but it's exciting to kind of look at the benefits of time saving in hiring and practice management. We've talked some about automation in terms of the practice management stuff that we've gone through with you guys, but we're going to show you some more of that. So, our next program that we've kind of coming out with is Altitude and Avalanche. So, these are kind of our two most popular programs. So, you guys know about Altitude, but you might not know about Avalanche. We're kind of combining those two programs. So the first time we came up with Avalanche, it really is Arlen's. So Arlen, when we met, like he was really good at reactivating his past patients. A lot of his plans of care came from his past patients. And there's lots of ways to do that, right? So you can send out newsletters, you can send out postcards, you can have friend and family referral programs. But probably the easiest and most effective way is through email, and email with a combination of some additional technology that we're working with. But basically, we would sell these campaigns. And some of you guys listening to this might even have some of these campaigns where we would do a consultation funnel. So we would do nurture emails, and then a call to action would be, hey, come in for me, it's the last Tuesday of the month. Coming last Tuesday a month, we're doing free screens in our office for anybody that has, we've got probably 20 different campaigns that we do. I think Arlen's up to 50, but there's ones that are super popular. So shoulder, knee, and back, right? That's what a lot of physical therapy is. So we run those. And at the end of the month, what happens is we have a day on Tuesday, we set out times for screens. We do free screens, check out people, past patients, friends and family members of past patients come in. And just by turning that email sequence on, kind of the work is done. So there's a lot of work in the front of building it, but once you have it, like I just press play on that campaign. And then at the end of the month, I get more of whatever kind of new patient I want: knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, foot and ankle. We start to combine these things. So Arlen and I do health fairs, which if we've ever never talked about that, guys should ask some questions about that. If you have a new PT that's coming on, or you open up a new office. So when we open up new offices, the first thing we do is a health fair, because we want our books filled in 2 weeks. 2 to 4 weeks is what we shoot for. If you open up a new office, I want one PT with a full schedule by the end of 4 weeks, or something went wrong. And that's how we use these things. So we would sell these campaigns, $2,000. You might think, oh, geez, $2,000 for an email campaign. Well, when we're getting plans of care, somewhere between 8, 10, 12, 14, we've done health fair campaigns that have generated 90 new patients in a week. Arlen just did a reactivation in the spring. I think he got up to like 94 was his record. So paying $2,000, if I put $2,000 in a machine and a plan of care, I'll be conservative. Like if a plan of care for you guys is $1,000, for us, it's worth $1,600. For guards, it's worth around the same thing. If I put $2,000 in, I get 10 plans of care out. I'm just going to keep doing that until it doesn't work anymore. So we did it like that. And it worked really well. And if you wanted to do it on your own, we talk about this time, like you kind of learning how to use an email software system, writing out all the copy, shooting videos, creating infographics, all that stuff, and then putting a campaign together. It can't cost you that much, but people are willing to pay for the shortcut, right? So, hey, just give me the campaign that works. You push play. At the end of the month, I'm going to have 10 new plans of care in my schedule. Sounds good. But now we're going to change that a little bit. So the second version of this is 13 of our top performing campaigns in 4 different areas. So lead generation. So this is going out and getting new patients. You can get this from a cold audience or a warm audience. I won't spend the rest of the night talking about the difference between that, but probably you guys know about that. People that that already know, like, and trust you, your past patients, versus cold audience like Facebook leads, Google AdWords, whatever you want to use. Lead generation campaign. There's going to be a patient journey campaign, which is really important. Does anybody have a campaign for your patients that come in? If you get their email that first day, do they automatically get thrown into an email campaign? Does anybody do that? Raise your hand. Great. Karina does that. So, Frank does that. All the founders do that. Again, it's automatic. It's like an extra person that I hired to make sure that people are understanding their plan of care and they know what this journey looks like. Hey, man, you're going to be here for 16 times. That's my average. That's what it looks like. What happens? It's not always like a straight line of improvement. Sometimes you're not doing so well. Sometimes you plateau. And just our therapists are obviously trained to do that. But when you use automation, you use email to help you out with that. It's just like another employee that is helping you out do that. Consultation event. So we talked about that. Just kind of like, hey, we're going to run a foot and ankle or running injury prevention free screen day at the end of the month. It's this last Tuesday of the month. Sometimes we run it for a whole week. We play around with it. Sometimes we run it for the whole month. Hey, it's low back pain month. Anytime you want to come in for the month. And obviously, you know about KPIs and running the numbers, you kind of look at what performs better. And we just make adjustments off of that. And workshops. So are you guys running workshops? Is anybody not running workshops? Has never done like a community education workshop? All right. I'm seeing a lot of blank faces. I'm going to assume that you all run workshops because you should, especially now as people are kind of looking for things to do, kind of getting back out. This has been really powerful. We have a health fair coming up in the middle of September with a gym that we're doing that is right before COVID hit. We got a ton of plans of care off it. And man, when you get that figured out, you just show up for an hour and talk. And then people like know, like, and trust you. You get them in the books. That's really powerful. So we're going to work on that. So, and there's different levels of support here. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So basically, for you guys to continue with this program, all you're going to do is you're just going to continue with your monthly. So what happens are you get access to these 13 campaigns, okay, and you get to run them whenever you want. You don't have, so somebody's like, oh man, you guys like Keep, right? So does anybody not know what Keep or Infusionsoft is? You should, because you've been getting emails from it, but that's an email service provider. So some people have free ones or cheaper ones and like, oh man, I heard that Infusionsoft or Keep is like really expensive. Well, guess what? You're not gonna have to pay for that because you're going to use our app. So these are all the campaigns, those 13 campaigns that you can run, that if you just ran one of them and it went okay, it's probably going to pay for your yearly subscription to this. If you want more customization and some help with that and more of this kind of technology that is integrated with emails, specifically text message stuff. Do you guys run any text messages to your past patients? Yeah, some of you guys probably for like appointment reminders, maybe, but if you're not using it for lead generation, that's really helpful. You know what the success like open rate of an email is? Like for us in our practice, we actually had 26 last week, and that was pretty good for us. That's one of our highs. Open rates for SMS messages are near 100%. So if you can get that figured out, you're going to get right in the front of your clients. And then this last one here, this is coaching. So you guys have been probably talked to about coaching, and you might know a little bit about our coaching program. So those of you who don't know, there's Altitude and there's Altitude Plus. So Altitude is what you guys have been doing, you know, kind of some group coaching, but kind of mostly you're kind of learning and doing it on your own with a little bit of group coaching. This is coaching that we do that's kind of one-on-one, two-on-one. There's a couple of different things that we'll talk about. But if you are someone that is like, yeah, I just need some more help with this. Someone that said, I did some of the stuff, but I didn't do all of it. What that coaching looks like is just kind of helping you exactly where you're at. And we go all over the place in terms of going to Altitude. So somebody said, hey man, I wish I could do finance or HR first. Well, we just kind of, the first thing is we kind of handle putting out fires that are like large fires that are going on in your practice and kind of handle that. And then we start to fine tune stuff and bring it back down. But it's more hand holding, more experience from clinicians that are kind of where you want to be in practice owners. So with that, it looks like it's a half-hour call every week. And then there's some other things that are built into that in terms of access to our coaching library. So if you guys see Bo, if you've never seen Bo, Bo is one of our coaching clients. He's going to come on in a second and just kind of talk about the coaching experience that he's had. But I just sent him a call today that we did from our EIC, which is our highest level of coaching. And it was just some specific topics that we handle in there. We do webinars in there, and we call them 100K calls, because if you actually implement the stuff that we do, it's worth $100,000 to your practice in that year. So all sorts of extra coaching. And the other thing that you need to know with this is for everyone that does this that's outside of Altitude, there's a $1,200 setup cost to kind of do that. I'm sure you guys are familiar with, if you're buying campaigns or you've done that before, there's typically a setup cost. and people outside of this group will have to pay that setup cost. So this is Bo. So this is a fairly recent picture. I'm guessing Bo kind of knew I was going to use this picture, but he just won the Business Person of the Year from his local Chamber of Commerce. So Bo, you can unmute yourself and just tell us where you're from and just tell us a little bit about your practice.
Yeah, Travis, thanks for having me and join your call. My name is Bo Rapp. I'm a physical therapist. I own a practice in the panhandle of Oklahoma. It's a very rural area. I've had my practice since 2014. I just recently expanded to another clinic, another town, about 28 miles away. So now we have 2 clinics, and we're doing well because of Travis.
No, not because of me, because you do what I tell you to do. So, and when I say rural, we're working on a program. Bo is running a workshop at the end of the month. I said, yeah, just go to Staples, and they'll print you out some really quick, some business card things to hand out. And he goes, dude, I'm like an hour and a half from the closest Staples. And I was like, I don't know what planet you live on. Okay. So Bo, so there's a lot of stuff that we've kind of gone over, and we've been working together for a couple months, but what are I can sit here and say how awesome we are, but that doesn't work. Right. So I always talk about when you guys are doing physician marketing, what do we typically tell you to do? It's like, you can't go into a doctor's office and say, I'm awesome, I'm the best PT in town. You've got to have a patient come back. Hey, send me one patient, send me your train wreck. You ask them how it was at my place, and then you tell me if you want to send patients to me. So go ahead, Bo, just like a couple of the most powerful things that you've learned through coaching.
Yeah, so much. First of all, I think NLPT was like the 4th coaching business that I had researched. And I don't like to spend a lot of money. I don't like change. I knew that my practice was not going in the right direction, and I had to do something. And joining NLPT essentially and implementing the systems that Travis and his team has gave us, he has saved my practice. So I just have a few notes here, like a 10-year mission and core values. That was one of our first modules back in January. And I went through the modules just because I knew I had to get to the next step. But I'm really now, 6 months later, I'm really knowing and understanding the value in having a 10-year mission and having core values. Also charge capturing, just getting paid more for what you already do. You see all the Facebook ads for get more patients, get more patients, get more patients. Well, if you're only seeing them for 6 or 8 visits, there's another problem. So, we want our length of stay to go up. It's not about getting more patients all the time. It's more about just managing the patients you have and making more money off the patients you already have. And understanding metrics, like I didn't know what metrics were last year. Now we're understanding metrics and how they can guide our weak links and help make us stronger overall and really give us a direction of where we're going. Another thing is meetings. Like I went from having 0 meetings to having meetings every week. I mean, I got a whole morning full of meetings on Friday because we're off on Monday. And that never would have happened before. I thought it was not really worth the time before I joined NLPT, but now it's just, I can't believe how I survived without it. Just implementing all these systems of NLPT. I mean, it just makes sense. You gotta, in school, you always wanted to be, you always wanted somebody that's smarter than you to help you. Well, in practice, it's the same way. I mean, you gotta hang around experts. You gotta hang around the people that are doing what you want to do. So a few other things, internal collections, it was non-existent before NLPT. Now we're bringing in a ton of money every week, and having money in your account more regularly that you can count on is amazing. And then the ARs, my AR over 120-day AR before I joined NLPT was 58%. Now, Travis, today it was like 12%.
Man,
so those are just a few highlights I have. So
yeah. So the important thing to know is that Bo actually does what we teach, and that doesn't always happen. So if you're looking for us to come in and save your practice, that probably won't happen unless you're aligned with what we're going to do. So Bo says I did it all, but I didn't do much of it. I just pointed him in the right direction. So thanks, Bo, for saying that stuff. All right. So now, what does this look like in terms of continuing to be an altitude member? So for continuing altitude, so that first section where you just kind of keep paying what you get, here's what you get. Continued access to altitude. So you're going to get all the stuff that you maybe didn't get to. I know Karina got to everything, but not everybody got to everything. So you're going to get continued access to that, but then we're going to keep adding to that. So that's going to be really important. So if you haven't finished everything to its fullest extent, you're going to want to continue with that. Access to Avalanche 2.0. So these are the campaigns that we talked about. So you get 13 of our top performing campaigns. Again, one of these campaigns, when run properly, should pay for the entire course that you're going to do. Getting campaign enhancements, so upgrades and changes. So we're constantly tweaking this stuff. We take the numbers and we're looking at open rates. We're looking at click-through rates and kind of changing stuff. We're making some of the emails longer, making some of the emails shorter based on the numbers that we see from the practices that we're implementing it in. So we're constantly making improvements in that. New technology. So the benefit of those new innovations, like just simple text message stuff, but other things that are going on that is like above my pay grade that the guys that are designing that stuff is becoming really powerful, and just getting better communication between you and your past patients, and also you and your community, the people that don't know you yet, which is really powerful. And then you get grandfathered in. So this price will never change. So as long as you want to continue to be in the program, let's say you go through, you do 13 months, you run 13 campaigns and you want more of them, there's no shortage of campaigns. Arlen's got over, I don't even know what he's up to right now, 35 or 40 that he's got. Some people have asked us to make custom campaigns, like doing like dry needling. Not everybody has dry needling, but we'll make campaigns for that. Making campaigns for laser, pelvic floor type stuff. We have some clients that do pelvic floor. So building out custom programs for them and campaigns for them has been really powerful and important. So yeah, it's normally like off the street. If anybody wanted to get this, that is not you guys, it would be $650 plus that $1,200 setup fee. And we're waiving that and just kind of keeping that price at $450, because now you guys, even if you haven't completed all of the stuff, your practice in doing just maybe even a few of the modules is changing. And now we feel, and you can tell we kind of did the marketing towards the end, which is kind of what people want up front, but we want to try to make sure that we're throwing patients into systems that work. So that's why we picked that order. Now you guys might be ready for some more new patients. And these programs, for the most part, are kind of designed around generating patients from the people that already know, like, and trust you. So I'm really excited to work with Bo on this, because he has not had a ton of email communication with his past patients. These are people that have been coming to him for years that love him. So we just have to communicate with them and let them know, hey, if you need some more physical therapy, you should probably come back here. And then the campaigns to cold audiences as well. So does anybody have any questions about anything? Now we'll let you unmute and ask you questions about the program. If you guys have any right now. Does anybody have questions? I explained everything so well that nobody has any questions about this. Zach is like, yep, I'm in, man, whatever.
Hey, Travis, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah, of course, Mike has a question. Let's go.
Do we have the capability of customizing any of these on our own, or is that something that the team does solely?
You know, you could definitely do that on your own. So you can, I mean, you'll have to customize some of it. So what is it is the basic emails that go out. And then obviously you've got to put your logo in there. You've got to put your name in there, but it's not much. We have had people that want to change it a lot. I would tell you that we've run these campaigns a lot and they work. If you want to change them, it's kind of the same thing as when a patient wants to change a plan of care on me. If they don't want to come 3 times a week for the first 3 weeks, I'm going to come twice a week. I say, that's an option. It's just not going to work as well. And it will take longer to get better. And it might not work at all. There's a reason I didn't pick 3 out of the air. Like this is the reason why I did this. So if you're going to change my plan of care, I just got to tell you, I can't guarantee you the results that you would have gotten if you had stuck with my plan of care. So up to you. But yeah, you'll have the ability to adjust those.
I guess my real question is, I've got Infusionsoft.
Yep.
I've got some campaigns and like a hiring sequence I've got in there.
Okay.
Can we offload Infusionsoft and bring some of those over?
So you would keep your own Infusionsoft account if you already have one. And I'm not the Infusionsoft guy. So we might, when we do the call with you, then we'll try to figure out what that looks like, because we have it set up such that you can run the campaigns and not have to incur that cost if that's the way you want to do it. So because some people don't want to pay the $200 to $300 depending on which one you get. So this is another way to kind of save some money on it and make it easier for people to do it if they want to do it.
Right.
We'll have to get with our team, and we have a team that handles all that Infusionsoft stuff, and it's not my stuff. But we can answer those questions for you. What does it look like if you come in? I've got Infusionsoft already. So what is it? How do these campaigns look? We'll answer all those questions for you. All right, good. Anybody else have any other questions? Here we go, Zach.
Yes, I mean, it's just piggybacking on that. You probably said you're going to answer that, but so yeah, I signed up with. I mean, I had Infusionsoft before, but then I transferred to you guys.
Yep.
So if I sign up for whatever program, the 450, 1200, or 2500,
yep,
am I still paying that monthly fee on that, or is it included in the program?
I think Arlen, yeah. So we've got it. That's a special case. So we've got to figure that out. But yeah, you won't be paying both of those. So we just got to kind of figure out what that looks like, because some of you have done the old Avalanche program, and we've got to kind of merge that. So yeah, obviously the campaigns before were $2,000. This is $500 a month, and you get access to 13 campaigns right off the bat. So it'll look a little bit different. So that's a good question. If you guys have gotten campaigns from us before, then we'll have to get on an individual call, unless Arlen has a better answer to that than me. What would you say, Arlen?
Yeah, for Zach, since he just got his Infusionsoft account, same thing with Bo. We can terminate those Infusionsoft apps, and then you just hop on this program. You don't even have to pay for the app anymore. It's going to be included in that 450, and you have access to all 13 funnels at the same time. In Mike's case, in Mike Braden's case, he'll probably hop onto our program, but we can ask our Infusionsoft powers that be to migrate all your existing campaigns that you have and put it into our program. Most likely that's how we're going to handle it, Mike, but we'll have to confirm.
Yeah. So this brings up the important.
Yeah, the crazy thing is when this program, guys, when we sold it, Travis, if you would show the page that has all three packages.
Okay, let's go back.
Right. When we started selling Avalanche 3 years ago, I sold an 18 funnel package for $36,000. Okay. And a 12 funnel package as recently as a year ago for $24,000. You guys will have access to all 13 funnels, not just 12, for $450. Now, if you want to customize your own specific funnel for your specific practice, then that's the next level here. That's the $1,200. If you have, let's say for some odd reason, you have whatever, just out of right field funnel that you want built, then that's the $1,200 a month package for you. Plus the $1,200 a month package allows you to integrate your EMR. For some of you who may have Reach, right? WebPT Reach. Who's on WebPT Reach here? No one? Okay, well, makes it easy. So we will integrate Infusionsoft. Now, get past Infusionsoft. We're just using that as a system. What's important is what's in the funnel itself, not so much the software itself, but the ability to be able to integrate your EMR with this customer relations management software, all of that stuff. That's the 1,200 level. And of course, Travis already explained, you get everything on the 2,500 level plus one-on-one coaching. So to me, obviously the 2,500 a month is a no-brainer, but to a lot of people, when they look at that number, it's like, are you kidding me, Aaron? That's a lot of money. Well, I usually push back and say, are you kidding me? The amount of money you're going to make if you don't make that investment. So, but that's just me. Okay. So there you go. I'll shut up, and hopefully that cleared. Did that answer your question, Zach?
Yeah, I would assume that this is a pretty heavy prompt group. So I would assume the integrations go with prompt as well, pretty well.
Yes, that would be, we're working on that with prompt. Prompt is a little slow, okay? But at that level, that's what we hope to give you guys, okay? But there are other integrations other than prompt that we could connect with. if you're not on prompt. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to have prompt, but what the end goal of that is, and Arlen and Lee and I are working on that, where as soon as someone checks in, it's set for an hour, and they're going to get an email an hour after they checked in, and that should be around the time that they're leaving, and it's going to set them up for their next appointment. And it's really tied into the integration. It looks a little bit like Reach, if you guys have ever had that. And doing some of that same stuff, but it's really timed up nicely if you can get it to integrate with your EMR. And we're working with prompt with that. Doesn't mean you have to have prompt, so I don't want you to feel like you guys have to have prompt for this to work. But that's something that we're working on. And what else did you have, Zach? What was the other question?
Just slipped my mind. Sorry.
Too much.
There we go. So
it'll come back. All right. Those are great questions. Anybody else have any other questions? Yeah, Karina.
So if I'm understanding correctly, if we're on the Altitude plus Avalanche 2.0, and we're now using Infusionsoft, and we've got your 13 funnels, but we want to create our own or send out an email from our own system, we can still use Infusionsoft, right? It's not like we're limited to just those 13, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can. In fact, if you create your own funnels inside our system, and let's say 12 months from now you decide to leave, you could migrate the ones you created to, if you decide to get another Infusions app at that point. Obviously, you cannot migrate our 13 funnels because obviously there's
right.
Intellectual property there.
And on another question, back onto just Altitude in general. So are you starting a new round or a new crop of people starting Altitude again, with weekly calls, and that we can jump on to every now and then?
Yeah, so that's the goal.
Okay.
We want to try to get more people into the program. The community gets better as it gets bigger because there's just more minds in there. So that's the goal. We don't have any like big launches or anything planned right now. But probably in the next couple months, tied into a live event. That's where I think I see that going. But there will be more people in there. And then, yeah, obviously you guys will be the experts in there because you guys have gone through the program and can kind of help out. And for me, the best way to learn something is to teach it to somebody else. So you guys being in that group and being able to be like, yeah, hey man, I did this. Here's the results I got. I can help you out. That's really important.
Thank you.
All right. Barb, you got a question?
So if we do like the Altitude and the Avalanche, and we've got things going and we've got some of our own, but occasionally we want something done for us, is there a way to move in and out of things, or are you on a level and you stay there? How does that work? Because I'm always, I'm the weird one. I have peds. We're just a little different. So there are times where I can see where I may want to like change something or need that next level, but not necessarily all the time. Or I don't know. How does that work?
Everybody's practice is different, right? That's what everybody says. But pediatrics is a little bit different, but it's a business. It's still the same thing. So if I'm hearing this correctly, you might say, hey, do I want like a custom thing? I had someone reach out to me today and they said, hey, can I just like get some coaching on hiring? Like I just hired 4 people and I have no onboarding and I just need some help with that. And just say, yeah, that looks like individual coaching. We have individual coaching clients. We have a client that just calls Arlen for a half hour every week, and that's all he wants. And we have a price set up for that. So I don't know if that answers your question, Barb. But if I think the easiest thing would be, first of all of you are going to get on a call with us to try to find out what you want to do. So we've got to find out, hey, here's the options. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't need any more help. I got this figured out. You're still going to have access to this stuff. So you guys essentially have paid for that stuff. You're just not going to have access to anything new that we add to that. So it's just going to be kind of as is right now. Or I want, one of these things. Like I'm already paying this much money. Let's keep paying that. And then can you get me 12 plans of care at the end of the month? And then it pays for the program for the year. I want to do that. or you do the middle one or the end one. If you said, yeah, this looks cool, but what I really need is to solve this problem. And we've done it before where we say, okay, here's what this is going to look like, 3 months of coaching. And for you guys that don't know, we have other products that we don't necessarily talk about a ton. So if you guys have seen like the golf product that we do, where we kind of go away for the weekend and have like a mini mastermind, and then we do coaching on top of that, that's kind of a special program for people that are just wanting some more individualized attention. So I guess, Barb, we'd have to get on a call and just say, what's the problem? Like, what are you trying to solve? It's like, okay, maybe this would solve the problem for you. I think, yeah, this program's perfect for you, $450 a month. Maybe it's that. Plus, why don't we do some half-hour coaching calls? You should get with Kevin because what you're trying to solve, like he's really good at that. And that's kind of like, I always see it as our PTs in our practice, everybody specializes in something. Like everybody can treat everything, but we do have a PT that kind of specializes in pediatrics. And if I'm not getting where I want to get to in a couple of visits, I'm like, you know what? You need to go see Jen. Like I can treat this, but I'm missing something. Go see Jen and get it figured out. That's kind of what NLPT looks like. If you wanted to do HR funnels, like, hey man, I need to hire a bunch of people, or I just hired a bunch of people, I need to onboard them. Like you'd talk to Frank because that's what he specializes in. So if that makes it. Did that answer your question, Barb?
That's great. It gives me an idea.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, Zach, what's up?
Hey, can you just walk through the coaching one again? I mean, the full access to the coaching thing, I understand the 4 calls a month, but just, I don't know, maybe I missed it.
Yeah. So it's just individual coaching. So when Bo started with me, he went through the altitude stuff, but he is kind of, when you're just doing the altitude stuff, you're kind of this is a terrible term, but a prisoner to kind of the course of that. Like, hey man, I want to do some finance stuff. Well, we'll see you in month 12 or whatever that ends up being. Bo was more like, hey man, my practice I have some real problems here. Like, what do we need to do? And then it's just a half-hour coaching call of tell me the problems. Here's a solution. Here's the resources for that. So I think that's probably one of the big things is like I said, Bo, what did I send you today? I sent you my templates for workshops. I sent you that training call on internal collections that went over the hat for our internal collections manager and the bonus structure. And when you're in our coaching program, you get anything that we get. Newspaper ads. Like, hey, have you ever run a newspaper ad for low back pain? Let's say I never did that, even though I have. I would throw into our text chain and LPT, hey, who's got the best, I mean, we would go into Google Drive, but who's got the best newspaper ad for low back pain that's performed the best? And like, yep, Arlen did this one. Okay. And then we give that stuff to you. Whereas that's for our highest level coaching clients, which in this category, that's where you'd be. So you get everything in there along with the accountability. So now some people that are really good, like Karina is awesome. She went through the program and was like, on it all the time. And the accountability for her was like, all right, we're starting a new module and Jeremy's going to be on a call on Wednesday. I'm going to get there. And some people work well like that. I don't. Like, I need an individual coach to put his foot in my ass or her foot in my ass. And I have a female coach right now. She's amazing. And if I have a call with her every Thursday morning at 7:00 in the morning, and guess what? Like that deadline, if I'm doing the homework for that, if I'm doing it the night before, I'm doing it, but I need individual coaching. That's just kind of the person I am. So, and again, a little self-serving, but the guys and girls that are doing Altitude Plus, they're just a little bit further along in terms of getting that stuff done because they have to get on a call with us every week and we put a foot in your ass. So that's just kind of how it works.
Is this like a month to month, or is this for a set term? Or
we don't have long-term contracts. If we're not
for
helping
any
out,
of those programs.
Yeah, we don't have long-term contracts with this. I've always hated that. Like I sell you on something and the program sucks and you got to keep paying it for a year. Like that made no friggin' sense to me. So we don't have long-term contracts.
So if we started at, let's say, the top line and we're like, okay, I feel like I need the second one, we can still keep the same pricing to the middle one, or vice versa. If we start in the middle and we're like, hey, I need the coaching, I can go to the coaching for that pricing.
That's a good question. I'm going to go ahead and say probably yes. Just because you guys were the first one to go through the program, we're going to be the most flexible with you guys. So we really just want to help you guys out. So if you get into a program like, man, I'm out over my skis here, I'm not keeping up with stuff, can I drop down to a different program? We're probably gonna be pretty flexible with that.
Yep. You know what, if I may add something here. The one issue with the middle package, you guys, let's just be honest here then, right? There is an issue with that middle package. You guys want to guess what it is?
The customization.
Yeah, close, not really. Elizabeth, what do you think?
She's thinking. She's going to mute herself and then she's going to let us know.
I know.
Elizabeth, you got to unmute yourself. I can ask you to unmute, but you still got. There we go.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you're still thinking. Sorry, I thought.
I know. No, you said what's wrong with it?
There's something wrong with the middle and the base package both. What's wrong with that is, unless you really got it nailed down already, every aspect of your practice, the first and the second package will bring you a lot of new patients. And there's a problem with not being structured well to welcome an avalanche of new patients. You see how I use Avalanche there, right? So,
Very good.
right? And that's sometimes what we've seen with clients, right? And so people always get stuck up on that price on that third level. So the last time we run an anniversary event, just email alone, we got 40 new patients. 40 new patients. I'm not saying you're going to get the same depending on how, but this is how this system is. You warm up your patient list, and eventually they get to really know, like, and trust you, and you'll get a bunch of patients, right? But if you don't have everything structured, I know you guys went through altitude, but to be coached along the way to take advantage of that avalanche of new patients, a longer length of stay, all of that stuff. Really, when you think about it, it's just $1,300 between $1,200 and $2,500, a $1,300 difference versus the ability. And that's just one plan of care that you can save, right? But if you can maximize every new patient that the first and the second package will bring in and get you structured really well to really make sure that you're operating at all, on all cylinders, the $2,500 to $1,300 difference is obviously really very insignificant. Now, obviously, it's coming from me. I'm biased, right? But to this day, I'm paying a financial coach almost $3,000 a month for a half an hour call every week. I'm not saying I've got it all figured out, but I feel like, all right, financial wise, why don't we get another coach, right? The same line here. Now, if you feel like you've got everything lined up in your practice, then you probably don't need $2,500 a month. But most practices that we've, talked to typically are not at that level yet. So I'm just saying the problem with the first and second package, it's going to get you a lot of patients. Let's just hope you're structured well enough to really handle all those new patients, right? So, and having said that, the difference between the middle and the third package is really not a lot in the big picture of things, right? But to answer Zach's question, yeah, you'd probably be able to jump between packages left and right, but why would you do that? You want continuity. But I'm pretty sure we can work that out. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a good point. And the coaching stuff is like, I call it just in time learning. So this weekend, Bo had an event at his clinic, and it was just like almost like an open house. And we said, all right, tell me about that. And he says, yeah, we're going to do, so I got a new therapist that does dry needling. We're going to try that out. Good. Like, well, what's going to happen? It's like, well, I don't know. We'll just stick some needles in people and just like try to win some friends. And this is exactly what I used to do. I say, hey, I'm a nice guy and I'm a PT. You ever need PT, you let me know. And I'm like, nope, that's not how it's going to go. So we're going to close plans of care here because you need to help them make a decision. Like if they don't make a decision with you, do PT, dry needling, whatever you got, what are the other options? Injections, medication, surgery. We're physical therapists. I hope everybody in this call feels like that a better option is physical therapy, but you got to kind of help them make a decision. So we just went through kind of what does your screen look like? If you only got 15 minutes with somebody, what happens? And like, all right, man, we're going to close plans of care on Saturday. And he got, Bo, how many did you get? 4, 5, 6? I think he's muted. Give me your fingers.
4 out of 6.
4 out of 6. So he closed 4 out of 6. So 4 plans of care for him, somewhere between $1,000, $1,500. And just from like that one call that we did. Now, it's stuff that, again, all the stuff that you guys, if you see us, you're like, wow, those guys really have that dialed in. At some point we didn't. And, you know, we relied on each other to help figure some stuff out. We, through trial and error, figured it out. But wouldn't it be easier if someone just told you how to do it? So, yeah, we don't have many coaching clients that say, wow, this is like worthless. I wish I had never done this. It's more like, you guys are only charging me this much. Can you see how much that you're making in my practice? And all that stuff sounds like I'm trying to sell you a car. I just don't, you know, I used to not hard sell plans of care. I used to, yeah, physical therapy, good. And until I took responsibility for, if I don't get this person in physical therapy, those are the alternatives. Like, they're going to go get on pain medication. What if they have a negative outcome from that? I don't know if you guys have heard, but there are some negative outcomes to taking pain medication. Is that my fault? Like, did I not do a good enough job of giving them the options that could have helped them avoid a really bad surgery or negative consequences from injections and pain medication? So I've gone over to the other side of like, this stuff works and it's really important. And I've talked to you guys, like some of you guys are struggling, and not necessarily, some of you guys are killing it financially. You're busy, but you're doing all the work, and you can do that for so long, and it gets really tough. And I'm telling you, on the other side of that is just your quality of life is just night and day. So
Schedule their call.
yeah, so you guys got to schedule your call, right? So here's Garza, did you put the link in the chat? So this is, if you go to the chat, there's a link for Calendly. If you guys like doing that, you just kind of pick your times, whatever you want to do. If you like, none of those times work, like here is, let's get back into here. Here's my cell phone number. Like, friggin' text me. I'll schedule you in. You've got to schedule your call. We got to find out if you want to say, hey man, I'm good. Like, see you later. You'll still get access to Altitude, but we have to kind of set up your account to do that. If you want to take advantage of the other things that we're talking about here, this isn't like you got to call me tonight and figure this out. I don't do that shit either. But you guys, whatever you guys want to do, we got to kind of make some decisions in the next week or so. We'll help you through that decision. So get on a call with us and we'll talk to you and say, hey, you know, here's my practice. Here's where we're at. I mean, we have a pretty good idea where you guys are at and what you guys would benefit from, but we can answer more questions about what the program is and how that would work. If you get on a call with Arlen, he's going to say on coaching. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but that's how that's going to go. So
Marvin's smiling.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to do the same thing because of, you know, I like to work with people like Bo. So that gets me out of bed in the morning and helping people out. So, but you gotta let us know. So take that Calendly link. If you guys have not used Calendly before, it's pretty easy. You just kind of go in there, pick a time. We've got times sectioned out. It's me, Jeremy. I think Garza is doing some calls. So we'll just get through that, figure out whatever you want to do. And then answer any of the questions that you got, but we got to try to find out what the next step is for you guys. And you guys got to make a decision on that as well. So, anybody have any last questions here? I've already kept you on for over an hour. I thought it was going to go faster, but that's how webinars go with me. Anybody have any other questions before we go? All right. So schedule your call. Let's take the next step in your journey in growing your practice and getting the most out of your practice. And I want to thank Bo for coming on because he gave me some extra time tonight. So I appreciate that. And I want to thank you guys for doing the program. We learned a ton. And if this is it for us, then, you know, we hope you've gotten a ton out of it. We hope it's not it because we feel like we can help you some more. But thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for all your work in this past year. And as always, we'll see you guys at the top.